I'm not gonna lie, the real deal seems a little...
chaotic?
I was gonna say charming, but that definitely works.
Well, chaos sure is a part of our charm. What other entertainment news show do you know that has regular appearances from ghosts that seem to have some kind of weird history together?
None that I can think of.
Exactly. Hello and welcome to The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm one of your hosts, Owen DeWeese.
And I'm Gabby Kramer. So, you think it's weird that Harrison doesn't know about Mary, right?
I mean, it's weird, but they're ghosts, so, considering that, it's not the weirdest thing in the world.
I wonder what happened between them.
We could always ask Harrison. How did he say we could summon him again?
I'm not sure, but Mary did say something like zip, zop, and boogie or something along those lines.
Oh, I know how to get Harrison.
Oh, what you doing there, Owen?
Didn't work?
Bad dancing didn't work? No way.
It wasn't that bad.
While we try to figure out how to summon a ghost, let's hear from our first segment. Take it away.
First of all, I just need to point out the fact that I spent an entire year here at The Real Deal before being told that my grandmother, who looks identical to me, is here and haunting the place. You'd think that she would have had the courtesy of saying hi to her granddaughter, but no, I had to find out when she just appeared in front of the camera last week, which is a little rude of her. But on the topic of ghosts, I have recently started watching Julie and the Phantoms for the 10th time. Yes, you heard me correctly. For the 10th time. I know, I am a little obsessed. But Julie and the Phantoms is a Netflix original show that surrounds a ghost band who are trying to figure out what their unfinished business is in order to cross over to the afterlife. It is full of amazing music and awesome jokes, as well as representation and just overall good vibes. So when I tell you that my number 5 artist on Spotify for the entirety of last year was Julie and the Phantoms, and I discovered them in November, that should give you some sort of understanding as to how good this soundtrack is. So the show starts centered around this band called Sunset Curve, and showing how they died and came back as ghosts 25 years later to meet Julie. Julie is going through a lot of stuff on her own, including going through the grief of losing her mother and just a year prior, and trying to grapple with trying to play music again, as this was something that she and her mother did together. So it causes her a lot of pain. And as she meets the Phantoms and becomes closer with them, music becomes a bigger factor in her life, and her music career grows with these newfound bandmates. So does her confidence and her happiness. But with every show, there is always an awesome villain, and this villain's name is Caleb. Caleb is a very powerful ghost. When he sees just how powerful this band is, decides that he will do whatever it takes to get the band to simply stop existing. With twists and turns and beautiful musical numbers, this show makes you laugh, it makes you cry, and everything in between. If you want to watch Julie and the Phantoms, it is available on Netflix with the ending how it is, and no second season yet announced. Please do me the favor and comment and share and email everyone involved in Netflix to get Julie and the Phantoms the second season that it most definitely deserves. Thank you again to Gabby and Owen for the takeover last week. As chaotic as it is, I really appreciate it. I'm Kat, and that's all for me. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Kat.
And sorry about the takeover last week.
I'm not sorry. Okay, so dancing didn't work, but how did we get him here the last time?
Well, we fought and we were confused as how to host.
We all had character development.
Don't worry, I was in a play once in middle school and I got this. I wish I had a strong ghost to help me understand the news.
That is not gonna work.
I just hate my co-host and I don't know what to do.
Yep, nothing happened.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't summon a ghost on command.
You should be. Now, let's hear from the next segment while we get Harrison here.
Thanks, guys. First of all, before I even get into my film review this week, I just wanted to put it out there that I am not this person named Eunice. I can't tell you how many times producers and the cast here at The Real Deal say, "Hey Drew, you look like some ghost that we saw here a few episodes ago with a Mary that looked like someone named Eunice. He looked just like you." Okay, first of all, what kind of name is Eunice? And second of all, I looked back at that footage from the episode since I was the one that edited it all, and let me tell you, this guy that looked like someone named Eunice has no sense of style. What was he thinking walking in here wearing a brown jumpsuit, looking like he just got done navigating around the coast of San Francisco in his all-custom Boeing Model 40A airplane with custom flame decals on the body? I would definitely never wear something like that, because I would be too caught up in looking at myself in the mirror because of how good I looked. Man, Eunice sure does know how to actually dress for someone that's a ghost. I wish I could have met him and asked him for more recommendations on clothing and lifestyle tips and, sorry, yeah, I forgot we're rolling. I mean, yeah, no, I look nothing like him and he just seems so creepy and weird. I wouldn't want to be like him at all. Anyways, on to my segment. In light of the new upcoming Wes Anderson film, The French Dispatch, which is releasing on October 22nd of this year, I thought I would take a little dive into the past. We would go back to a time before COVID, 2014. Man, what a year that was. 2014 brought to mind one of my all-time favorite films, The Grand Budapest Hotel. The Grand Budapest Hotel is about a book written by an author who retells a story that he heard from when he was much younger from a guy who tells him a story while they are staying at this hotel. I get it, it sounds confusing, but it isn't something like Inception where it gets so confusing that you have to remember every little detail from every time frame to know what's going on. But that's besides the point. Majority of this film is told from the last person telling the story. It revolves around a fictional city of Zabrovka set before World War II. It follows a concierge named Monsieur Gustave H., played by Ray Fiennes. You know, the guy that played as Voldemort and Harry Potter. I could talk about that too, but anyways, that's beside the point. Anyways, he works at the illustrious estate known as the Grand Budapest Hotel. Full of life and a man so charming, Gustave is on top of the world. Recently, though, a new lobby boy is hired by the name of Zero, played by Tony Revolori. Zero is an undocumented worker from a foreign country, but is soon taken into the wing of Gustave as his lobby boy and protege. The two begin to form a bond when the love of Gustave, Madame D, played by Tilda Swinton, has been found dead in her own home. With her death comes the will, and the family of Madame D is left with various gifts and allowances. However, the final part of her will is addressed to Gustave, where he is left with a prize painting known as Boy with Apple. The family is furious at Gustave for coming to the will reading and have never really even liked him, although he has not done anything wrong but love their mother. With the will read, the family is furious at Gustave and plan to sabotage and to destroy his entire life and reputation. The rest of the story sets off after Gustave is blackmailed and suspected of being the one that murdered Madame D, and begins his adventure of escaping prison and trying to resecure the Boy with Apple painting that is rightfully his. Now, I don't want to give it too much more away from the story and begin to start spoiling stuff, but let me tell you this. This is without a doubt one of the most hilarious films I've ever watched. The jokes that are said here hit, and they hit well. And the acting is fantastic all across the board. And when it comes to the cast for this one, it is as good as it gets when it comes to any Wes Anderson movie. Many returning actors in Wes Anderson's films return, such as Adrian Brody, Bill Murray, Edward Norton, Owen Wilson, Jason Schwartzman, and Willem Dafoe, just to name a few. Then you have new actors like Saoirse Ronan, who after this film went on to have a booming acting career starring in the likes of Brooklyn, Lady Bird, Little Women, and you guessed it, Wes Anderson's next film, The French Dispatch. Overall, I think I've seen this, I've watched this around maybe 10 or so times, and I am not kidding when I say that. This is as good as it gets when it comes to filmmaking, and with such a gripping story and a wonderful acting, as well as fantastic soundtrack and beautiful costume and set designs, and that little Wes Anderson flair that you can spot in any of his movies just by watching a little bit, The Grand Budapest Hotel is what I consider to be a masterpiece, and one that I will find myself watching over and over again for many years to come. Well, that's all the time I have for you this week. I'm Drew Schuler, and I will see you all next week. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Drew. That's weird. Another producer giving a segment.
Any ideas on how we should get Harrison?
Yeah, I have one more. Harrison, get over here.
What do you want?
Mary? You're not Harrison.
Sorry, it's been a real bad in Ghostville lately. The closer it gets to Halloween, the worse it gets, and that's kind of why Harrison can't be here.
What?
What?
What happened to Harrison?
Yeah, how is my favorite ghost?
Excuse me?
Did he die, like, again?
It's probably my fault that it happened to begin with, but I mean...
But what?
Sam, it's time for our next segment.
Hey everyone. Today I wanted to share the goldmine that is too hot to handle. Now, I've never considered myself to be someone who enjoys, let's be honest, trashy reality TV. So when my friend recommended this show to me over the summer, I was a little apprehensive to say the least, but I gave it a shot, and honestly, I'm so glad that I did. Essentially, the premise is this. 10 people are shipped to a remote island in Mexico to participate in what they think is a show documenting their summer. What everyone has in common is that they all have reputations as being, let's call them players. Once they get to the resort, it's revealed that the contestants aren't allowed to, as they say in The Sims, woohoo. That means no kissing, no excessive physical contact, you get the idea. All the contestants are competing for a $100,000 prize. The catch is, whenever the rules are broken by anyone in the resort, a significant amount of money is deducted from the group's prize fund. I found this premise fascinating for a few reasons. Primarily, when you watch the show, all the contestants act as though following the rules is like an act of impossible strength and willpower. These people are only at the resort for like 3 weeks, mind you, and yet none of them can just keep it in their pants. Watching all of this frankly absurd behavior in tandem with a snarky narrator is genuinely hilarious at points. The show doesn't take itself seriously at all, and the humorous tone is one of the things I find myself pressing next episode for. In addition, there's a slight psychological aspect to the show, which isn't something I initially expected. In both seasons, there are two camps of people. Those who work for the good of the group and follow the rules so that everyone has the chance to earn the most amount of money, and then there are those who don't really care, metaphorically taking other people's money and burning it in front of them. Watching people try to justify breaking these rules and losing quite literally thousands of dollars is nothing short of baffling. Observing the tragedy of the commons situation that occurs in both seasons is something that I, in particular, found myself drawn towards while viewing both seasons. But I think honestly one of my favorite aspects of the show is watching all the after-show drama unfold on social media. I'm ashamed to admit that I've spent hours seeing who is still dating who after the show, which couples have broken up, which people are still friends, and surprisingly, who got together after the show. I think the reason I spend so much time doing this is because even if you start watching the show because of its ridiculous premise like I did, you do get invested in these people and their lives. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's some sort of grand lesson that the show is trying to teach or that everyone on the show has an amazing character arc, because frankly, neither of those things happen. But overall, Too Hot to Handle is just a genuinely fun show. I found myself laughing about it with friends months after I initially watched it. Whether you tune in to make fun of the contestants, to view what is essentially a month-long social experiment, or to watch the drama surrounding the contestants, there's really something for everyone. The first season of the show aired in Netflix of April 2020, during the height of quarantine. I personally don't remember hearing about it then, although I'm sure people were watching it while stuck inside. The second season aired in June earlier this year, and I frankly liked it better than the first, so if you've got the time, give it a chance. Filming for season 3 has already taken place in Turkey, and will likely air early in the new year. When it airs, I highly recommend watching it if you can.
The producers are taking over for sure.
Yeah, you're right. But come on, Gabby, you gotta focus.
I'm focusing. What happened with Harrison?
Why do you want to know?
Well, a lot is happening right now.
Your Kat's grandma, and Kat was mysteriously absent from writer's room last week. The two can be connected.
That would be really silly. Kat's right here now. Where's Kat? They were here earlier. They couldn't have just disappeared.
Oh, I warned you. The closer it gets to Halloween, the crazier it gets. Good luck.
Well, that was scary. Now none of the producers are here.
Wait, none of the producers are here? We have to do something. We should, move on to our final word.
Okay, wait. But don't you think we should do our segments first?
Oh, yeah.
It's that time. Your favorite part of every show, my segment. Today's is going to be about everyone's favorite medieval comedy from the glorious year 1979, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. In this classic, history is turned on its head when in 10th century England, King Arthur travels the countryside to find some knights willing to join him at the Round Table in Camelot. Gathering up all the guys is a total tale in itself, but after they see how silly the castle of Camelot is, they decide to leave, only to be stopped by God himself, who sends them on a quest to find the Holy Grail. After a series of individual adventures, the knights are reunited but must face a wizard named Tim the Enchanter, killer rabbits, and lessons in the use of holy hand grenades. The movie is absolutely hilarious and is one of the few movies that stays golden every second. You all should definitely watch it. I can promise that you'll cry with laughter at least once. Let's do some trivia. Led Zeppelin, which happens to be my favorite band of all time, Pink Floyd and Genesis, and a couple others, all contributed to this movie's budget, expecting it to be a total flop, and they thought that they could write it off on their taxes. Pink Floyd's album Dark Side of the Moon was a huge success, and they ended up using a bunch of the money from that to fund the movie. The total budget was around $400,000, and they made $5 million in the box office. The theatrical release of the movie contains a grand total of 527 jokes, including 42 in the opening credits, for an average of one joke every 10.5 seconds. To whoever decided to sit down and count every joke, I really hope they paid you for that. John Cleese, one of the Pythons and lead actors in the movie, said in a television interview that this movie was the most miserable filming experience he had ever endured. Most of the production was shot on location in Scotland, which, Cleese joked, only saw warm, dry weather for 2 weeks every September. Definitely watch this movie. It's a great way to spend a rainy, muggy Saturday. But that's all I have for today, so let's throw it over to Gabby.
Thank you kindly. While I love indulging in media just as you all do, I also find it important to take breaks. I'm currently going on or attempting to go on a social media break, so I've deleted my apps and I'm trying to use the time I spent scrolling to do more productive things. I will be honest, it has not gone great, but I'm excited to keep pushing till it does. That being said, the past few days have made me realize how much of my news I get from my social media apps. Staying up to date on what is going on in the world is super important, but you guys already knew that because you're watching the show, so good for you. Anyways, just make sure to take care of yourself. No matter how much we may love being active online, we know that there are side effects that can be damaging to us. Right, Facebook? I am, of course, talking about Facebook being in the hot seat this week, with a whistleblower coming forward with a lot of documents and information saying Facebook was aware that some of the content being put out was negatively affecting younger users. Earlier today, the whistleblower, Frances Haugen, tested in front of the Senate. She said her intent is not to end Facebook, but rather call on them to fix the mistakes they are avoiding. Some very good words from her today, and interesting to note that the CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, was not around to hear them. Many inside and out of the Senate are calling on the head of Facebook to make a statement, but so far he has not complied. That's all I have for you. If you want to hear more from us here at Real Deal, you can check out our Facebook, Twitter, and website for all things entertainment. I'm your host, Gabby Kramer.
And I'm Owen DeWeese. We'll see you next time on The Real Deal.